Weddings smell like lies. People always talk about the flowers first. The flowers are amazing. The flowers are breathtaking. Like we are all in a commercial for detergent, and no one has credit card debt. But what I notice when I walk into that ballroom is not the flowers. It's the lies. It's thick in the air, like old perfume. You breathe it in long enough, you get lightheaded. This one is my son's wedding. My son, Michael Harrow, age 33, MBA, smile you can trust, handshake you can finance, standing under a ring of white hydrangeas like a magazine ad for tasteful success. The room is all glass and chrome and money. The Atlantic is outside the windows, the kind of bluish-grey water that looks expensive just to look at. Somebody's violinist is doing a soft-motion cover of something that was on the radio last year. Everything is soft, except me. When you're the father of the groom and you don't have money, you turn invisible. People think they're being polite about it. They do a little nod at you from across the room and then pivot like a bird. It's fine. I don't need speeches. I didn't come here for that. I came here because I wanted to see my son's face when he saw mine. Let me back up. I'm Ethan Harrow, 58 years old. Former mechanical engineer, which sounds more impressive than it pays, by the way. My wife Lydia used to tell people, he's an engineer, and watch their eyebrows jump like she had caught a movie star. She left out that I'd spent 20 years designing lift components for municipal trash trucks. It's not space shuttles. It's gears and leverage, and how to make something ugly not drop 1,000 pounds of spinning metal on someone's leg. It's important work, but nobody claps for it. Not like they clap for Michael. They clap for him like he's a hero. The kind of clapping that's more about being near him than for him. He loves that. He soaks that. Always has. If you had asked me 10 years ago, is your son a good man, Ethan? I would have said yes. He held my ladder when I cleaned the gutters. He brought his mother flowers on birthdays without being reminded. He called me sir. Everyone thought that was respect. I thought it was respect. I know better now. Now, if you ask me, is your son a good man? I will tell you something cleaner and closer to the bone. No. Anyway, we're in this ballroom. I'm at table 9, near the door, because of course I am. You put the people you don't want in the photos either, near the ice sculpture or near the door. It's wedding math. The chairs are dressed in white covers. Everything is white, actually. The flowers, the tablecloths, the cake, the bride. Clara Avery, soon to become Clara Harrow, if her lawyer didn't convince her to keep her maiden name hyphenated for brand continuity. She's 29. Dark hair, sharp jaw, eyes that see the whole room in one sweep, the way a drone camera does. She's wearing a dress that probably cost what I made in 4 months, and she's wearing it like armor. She's not nervous, she's hunting. I watch her, and I don't feel anything fatherly. People try to pretend they love whoever their kid marries. They fake it for photos. I don't bother. Me and Clara, we understand each other. I know what she is. She knows what I am. We don't pretend. Somebody taps a fork to a glass. Ladies and gentlemen, you all know why we're here. The best man says, yeah, we do. We're here because money likes to marry money. The rest of us are here because we make good background. The toasts are normal at first. The best man talks about college and grind set and nobody hustles harder than Mike. Like my kid is a dock worker instead of a guy who learned how to talk like a TED Talk. The maid of honor talks about how Clara is the most loyal person I've ever known, which almost makes me laugh out loud, and I have to hide that behind a dry cough. Loyalty isn't the word. Focused is the word. Clara has focus like a cutting torch. Then it's time for me. The DJ, who is wearing sneakers worth what my apartment lease renewal is going to cost next year, calls into the mic. Now let's hear from the father of the groom, Mr. Ethan Harrow. Polite clapping. Some of it is mercy clapping. That's fine. Mercy spends the same. I stand. My knee cracks. My suit is not tailored. I'm honest about that. I bought it off the rack at a place where the mannequins have shoulder pads like linebackers. The tie is Lydia's pick from 2 years ago. She held it up against my throat in the mirror and said, "This one makes your eyes look kind." I didn't tell her I didn't want to look kind. I let her have that. She's not here tonight. I walk up. Michael won't meet my eyes. Clara will. She always will. I like that about her, in a way. She stares right at you, chin up, like she's daring you to tell the truth. "I'll keep this short," I say into the mic. People laugh a little, like that's the joke old men always make before they talk for 20 minutes. And I let them have that 2 seconds before I take it back. I've got one thing to say to my son, and one thing to say to the woman he's marrying. Now you can feel the heads tilt. Ooh, drama. Everyone loves drama when it's not theirs. To my son, I say, looking at Michael, and I don't smile. I hope you remember your mother's hands today. She would have fixed your collar and cried and said he looks so handsome, and she would have meant it. She believed in you more than anybody in this room believes in literally anything. She would have said that no matter what you do, you will come back to her. You will come home. She would have said that. I don't say that. Bones belong to whoever buried them. That's all I got. You could feel the air stretch. You ever watch a dog hear thunder, that 1 second before it panics, where its ears shoot up and its body goes still like a trap spring? That's what 100 rich people did in that ballroom. Every one of them went tight. Michael's jaw clenched. His smile broke for just a blink, and then came back, because he's good at faces. He leans over to whisper something to Clara. I can't hear it. And to Clara, I say, and I turn, and she doesn't look away. And I respect the hell out of that, honestly. I'm going to say congratulations, because clearly you won. You landed him. You landed the Harrow boy. You climbed. That's impressive. I came from a house where we celebrate work. I know work when I see it. You worked for this. Congratulations. You did it. You got what you wanted. A couple people laugh. They don't know if they're supposed to. But I'm going to say one more thing to you, Clara, I say. I lower my voice. People lean in. My apartment key is not part of the package. Now everybody's listening. She tilts her head. She's still got that calm smile. She puts a hand on her heart like, oh my gosh, this is so silly. What is he even talking about? Here is what I'm talking about. 3 days ago, Clara had coffee with me at a little bakery near the marina. Cute place. She said it was her treat, which meant she pulled a black card out like it was a gum wrapper and made sure I saw it. She sat across from me in a corner booth, all sympathy. All, you must feel so alone without Lydia. I can't imagine Ethan, really. All soft eyes. And then, casual as asking for more sugar, she said, so here's the thing. When you move into assisted living, it would be so helpful if we could have a copy of your apartment key, just for emergencies. You know how it is. You're not getting any younger. She said it like she was asking for a spoon, like my life was already boxed and labelled and slid under their bed. I said no. Not, I'll think about it. Not, we'll see. I said, no one is getting my key unless they're paying the rent and the electric and the taxes. Are you paying those, Clara? Her smile chipped at the edges like cheap nail polish. She said, Michael is your son. He'll take care of everything. I said, I've seen how Michael takes care of everything. I'm still paying off how Michael took care of everything. Which is true. Lydia and I had a savings. Keyword had. We'll get there. So here we are at the wedding, and I just said the words, my apartment key is not part of the package, into a microphone in front of 100 people, and I see her face change in real time. You learn a lot watching people react, not when they're talking, but when you're talking. You say something they didn't expect, and you watch how fast they build a story around it. Some people go red, some people go blank. Clara doesn't go red, she goes cold. Her eyes narrow 1 millimeter, her chin lifts. She doesn't blink. Then she does something I did not see coming. She stands up. She takes 2 slow movie steps toward me. Everyone is watching like it's a TV show and they're eating it. Ethan, she says, voice sweet enough to bake with, why don't you just give us the key like we talked about? We are family now, right? I say, without the mic. Clara, sit down. She smiles wider. She reaches for the mic. I don't hand it over. Give me the key, she says, louder this time, to the whole room, like we rehearsed this. Please, everyone here knows you'd be so much safer if we could check on you sometimes. Gasps, nods, sympathy faces. Oh, wow, the old man is being difficult, you can see them think. That's how fast public opinion moves. Half a breath. I'm not giving you my key, I say. I do it calm. Calm is what scares people. She keeps smiling, but her eyes have gone flat and dark. There's something shark in there now. I've seen that look in men on loading docks right before they swing a pipe. Don't make a scene, she says through her teeth. You slapped a scene onto me the second you opened your mouth, I say. That does it. She moves fast. Her hand comes up and cracks across my face before I even fully register she's about to do it. It's not like that. Real life is smaller and meaner. It's fingers with acrylic nails against soft old man cheek and a little wet thwack, and then heat blooming out from the side of my face. My eyes water, my jaw tingles. The mic drops and squeals. But I'll tell you this, the silence after is better than any movie silence. It's total. It's clean. It's like the whole room just unplugged. She slapped me, in front of 100 guests, in front of her parents, who both pretended suddenly to be fascinated by the ceiling fixtures, in front of Michael, who took half a step forward like he might, defend his father, then stopped, because doing that might upset Clara, and that's not allowed. In front of the photographer, whose eyes lit up with bonus commission. I'm 58 years old, and this woman, who met my son 3 years ago at a networking thing and saw husband float above his head like a golden balloon, just slapped me like I'm a child who's talking back in a grocery store. So I laughed. I don't mean a polite chuckle. I laughed. Out loud, full. It didn't feel good. It felt like tearing something open that had been sealed for too long. It felt like letting air into a wound and hearing the hiss it makes. Then I said, nice and loud, with the mic on the floor and feeding back and the whole room frozen like mannequins. Yeah, okay, time then. And I pulled my phone from my pocket and I made a call. That's all. One tap, one call. I had the number ready. Call me sentimental. Clara's face twitched. Michael's jaw clenched. The best man shook his head like his fantasy of a smooth night just shattered on the floor. People started whispering. You could hear that whisper pass through the room in a circle like wind. The call lasted 6 seconds. It's me, I said. Come in. The line clicked. That was it. I picked up the mic again. I said, you wanted keys. I brought you doors instead. Now here's the part they will tell their friends about for the next 10 years. The ballroom doors opened, and in walked a man in a grey suit, hair combed back tight, shoulders like a refrigerator, face like a closed fist. Every single person in that room knew who he was. Some of them knew him from the news. Some of them knew him from court. Some of them knew him from the kind of conversations that start with, I shouldn't say this, but, and end with, and that's why you never cross him. And they all started to cry. The entire hall broke into tears when they saw him. Real tears. Not for me, not for Michael, not for Clara, for themselves. People cried because what just walked in that door was reality. The money kind of reality. The kind of reality you can't smooth talk or Instagram filter away. The kind of reality that shows up when you think you're untouchable and whispers, congratulations, we are touching you. Clara went pale under the perfect makeup. Michael swallowed and couldn't seem to find his voice. I smiled. The side of my face still stung like fire, but I smiled anyway. I smiled for Lydia. I smiled for every hour we both worked honest jobs so we could build a life for a son who looked us in the eye and said, trust me, Dad, and then stole everything. While you're here, hit the hype button. Don't forget to subscribe and support this channel with a like. And tell us below, have you ever faced something like this? Let me tell you how you lose your whole life in one weekend, and you don't even know it's gone yet. It starts with something innocent. Everything ugly does. Our car was making a sound. Lydia said it was fine. I said, that's not fine. I know metal. I know the sound of strain. Something in the front right wheel well was grinding like a coffee can full of nails. We brought it to a shop. Not the dealer. We couldn't afford the dealer. Just a guy in a grey bay at the edge of town. He lifted the hood, nodded, made the little noises mechanics make, like a doctor saying, we'll run some tests. Then he came back and said, you're looking at 1,200, Mr. Harrow. 1,200 might not sound like the end of the world to you. To us back then, it was a cliff. I had just been cut down to part-time. The city outsourced the new compactor housings to a place in Ohio where nobody's worried about safety standards because lawsuits bounce off the right names. Lydia was picking up double shifts at the assisted living place. We had money saved. We were smart. We were old school. Every paycheck, a little goes in the envelope. You don't touch that envelope. That's the funeral money. That's the last 4 months of rent if everything else explodes. Can we put it on a card? Lydia said. We can, I said, which meant we shouldn't. She gave me that look, the one that said, stop pretending we're 25 and bulletproof. She was right. She was always right. We put it on the card. That night, Michael called. Hey, Dad, he said. He always starts with, hey, Dad, when he wants something. When he's just checking in, he goes, yo, old man, you still alive, like he's a teenager. Hey, Dad, is money talk. Hey, I said. Listen, he said, and he had his breathless voice on, his running up the stairs to close a deal voice. There's this one-time opportunity, and I didn't want to bring it up to you and Mum unless I was sure. But I'm sure, Dad, I'm sure. And if we can act fast, we can lock this in, and it'll take care of you guys forever. I'm serious. I closed my eyes. Lydia mouthed, money ask. She could tell just listening to my end. How much? I said. It depends how we structure it, he said, which means a lot. But basically, I've got this friend, and he's spinning up a private placement on a transportation logistics roll-up, and he's bringing in qualified early investors, and if we can come in with 72 to 80, we get founder equity. I'm talking lifetime residuals. Passive. Like you could retire, Dad. Mum doesn't have to work nights anymore. It's that kind of thing. It's happening fast, though. I need to wire it Monday, so I would need access to the liquid stuff, just short term. Just until the equity hits our books. Then you never worry again. All that was salesman noise to me, except 2 numbers that hit my ear and stayed. 72 to 80. 72 what? I said. 72,000, he said. Like he was saying $72. We don't have that, I said. Dad, he said, fake hurt. Come on. I know what you guys have. You told me. You told me about the house sale and the insurance from Grandpa and the city payout when you hurt your shoulder on that lift job. You told me. We have savings for emergencies, I said. This is the emergency, he said. Lydia shook her head hard. I put my hand up to calm her and she pulled back like I had slapped her, which hurt more than the real slap I took later, by the way. No, I said. I'm sorry, son. We can't. There was a silence. Wow, he said, and he really said it like that, like I'm a stranger who just cut him off in traffic. Okay, so that's where we're at. Michael, I said. No, it's fine, he said. I get it. You don't believe in me. It's fine. I'll figure it out myself, like I always do. He hung up. Lydia sat down at the little kitchen table. The vinyl seat had a tear in the corner that pinched your thigh if you weren't careful. She looked at me. She wasn't mad at me. She was scared. He's going to do something stupid, she said. He's not going to do anything, I lied. 3 days later, our accounts were empty. Not low. Empty. Checking. Gone. Savings. Gone. Emergency envelope we kept at the back of the closet behind the tax folders and old photo albums. Gone. I mean the stall money, the sock money, the old people hidey-holes money. Gone. Here's the part where you call me an idiot for telling my son where we kept our backup cash. Go ahead. Get it out. I'll wait. Done good. Now listen, you don't think you have to hide from your kid. You think your kid is the one person you don't have to hide from. You think, that's the person who will stand over my grave someday and say, yeah, he was tough, but he did right by us. You do not think that person is going to clean you out like a stranger breaking a window and crawling in while you're asleep in the other room. But that's what happened. We walked into the bank. Lydia held my arm like it was holding her upright. The branch manager, this cheerful woman with perfect hair who says "hon" like it's policy, looked at the screen and then at us like we were ghosts. It shows here you authorized the transfers, she said. No, I said. She turned the monitor so I could see. There it was. 3 transfers. Time-stamped. Authorized. Credentials matched. The destination account was in my name. Somebody had set up a second account using my identity, my social, my security questions, my everything. Somebody had moved our money into that account, then, from there into something else I couldn't see because that part was blocked out on the teleview. All nice and clean, like I did it. You'll want to file a dispute, she said quietly. Sir, I'm so sorry. This is awful. We'll try to get it reversed. It can take time. Time is a polite word for maybe never. Lydia sat in the little office chair. She put both hands on her chest like she was holding her ribs in place. She said, I can't feel my fingers. She was in the hospital that night. They called it cardiac shock. Stress-induced. Blunt words for a brutal thing. Your body panics so hard it forgets how to keep the pilot light on. I sat in that too bright emergency room under that too cold air conditioner, and I held her hand while it went from warm to cool, and I listened to a young doctor tell me, we did everything we could, in a voice you use for smooth radio, and I nodded like a man listening to weather. And I did not cry, because the part of me that could cry felt like it had been sawed off and left on the bank floor. She died 2 days after we lost the money. People like simple stories. They want to say, she died of a broken heart, like it's poetic. It's not. She died because the stress tore through her like a nail bomb. She died because our son flipped us upside down and shook us for coins, and her heart couldn't take the math of that. Michael didn't come to the hospital. He sent 3 texts. One said, keep me posted. One said, how bad is it? The last one said, Dad, I'm in back-to-back meetings. I'll call later. He didn't. He sent flowers to the funeral. White lilies. He didn't carry the coffin. He didn't pay for anything. I paid. You want to know how I paid? I sold Lydia's ring. That's how we got here. So when I tell you I had that phone number ready in my pocket at his wedding, believe me when I say I've been waiting. After Lydia died and the money was gone, time turned into something heavy. Days got quiet. People think quiet is peaceful. It's not. Quiet is loud when it's the wrong kind. Quiet is the buzz of the fridge and the hum of the streetlight outside and the click of someone else's door down the hall. Quiet is long. Quiet is work. You got to carry quiet. I carried quiet for months. I stopped answering calls. Not that anyone was calling besides scammers and a couple polite people from the old neighborhood who didn't really want to talk so much as perform the act of checking on me so they could tell their husbands they checked on me. I get it. Nobody wants to sit in grief with you. Grief is contagious, and nobody wants that kind of sickness. I ate what I could find and what I could afford. You'd be shocked how long you can live on peanut butter sandwiches and black coffee if you stop pretending you're above it. I tried to sleep. I didn't. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw Lydia's hand slide off the hospital blanket. That little drop. That should not be what I remember, but that's what my brain took a picture of. Brains are cruel like that. They throw out the sunsets and keep the fall. And yeah, I thought about Michael, but not like you'd think. I didn't sit there and stew and make speeches to myself like some TV judge. I just kept replaying his voice. Dad, trust me. Dad, we're family. Dad, you know I'd never hurt you. Over and over until the words felt like someone else said them. If you want to know when I stopped being a good man, I'll tell you the exact minute. It wasn't when Clara slapped me. That was dessert. It was the night I wrote Michael out of my will. You laugh. What will, Ethan? You just said you got cleaned out. Yeah. Old habits. I still had a will. I still had paperwork. I still had a little policy through the city from when I got hurt on that compactor arm. I sat at the kitchen table where Lydia used to fold laundry and watch her stupid shows, and I crossed Michael's name out. Pen on paper, scratch, scratch, scratch until the paper tore. And in that little rip in the paper, that's where the good part of me fell through. 2 months later, the knock came. It was a Thursday. I remember because Thursday was trash pickup day in our building, and the hallway always smelled like overripe banana peels and bleach on Thursdays. 3 knocks. Clean. Not nervous. Not cop. Not neighbor. I opened the door with the chain on because I might be heartbroken, but I'm not stupid. The girl on the other side couldn't have been more than 20. Dark hair pulled back in a no-nonsense knot. Hoodie, backpack, cheap sneakers from a strip mall. Not trashy, not fancy, regular. You don't get a lot of regular in this world anymore. People either try way too hard or gave up. She was in that middle zone that says, I know how to disappear in a crowd. Are you Ethan Harrow? She said. Who wants to know? I said. Automatic. Her mouth twitched. That's a yes. Can you open the door, please? I'm cold. Police, I said. Nope, she said. Lawyer, I said. She actually laughed. Do I look like a lawyer? Fair, I said. I slid the chain. If you try to sell me internet service, I'm going to cry on you. Fair warning. She stepped in like she'd been here 1,000 times. She didn't look around like she was casing the place. She looked around like she was keeping herself from looking around. That made me pay attention. She turned. I'm Nora, she said. I'm your son's daughter. Time did a weird thing then. It didn't stop. People say time stopped when they hear bad news and it's a lie. Time doesn't stop. If time stopped, you wouldn't hear the rest of the sentence. What happens is time does a little stutter step, like when you misjudge a stare and think there's one more step but there's not. Your stomach lifts. Your heart bangs once hard. Then you're back. My what? I said. Your son's daughter, she said. Michael's kid. I'm your granddaughter. That's not funny, I said. I'm not trying to be funny, she said. You think I want to be here. You think this is my dream day, I just lost him. She's got bite. I liked her already, against my better judgment. You're saying Michael had a kid, I said. Correct, she said. And you're it, I said. Correct, she said. Do you want to sit down? You're turning grey. Greyer, like funeral home grey. My wife just died, I said before I could stop myself. Nora's face changed. It softened 1 degree at the edges. I'm sorry, she said, and it sounded like she meant it. I didn't know about that part. He didn't tell me that part. Michael's alive, I said, grabbing at anything. Nora shook her head once. No, he's not. She said it like weather. Like, it's raining. No drama. Just a fact that ruins your plans. Tell me what happened, I said. My voice sounded like gravel. She set her backpack down by the door. She didn't ask to. That bugged me in a way that told me, annoyingly, she was probably telling the truth. First, she said, and she reached into the pouch and pulled out a small black key on a plain ring. He told me to give you this if anything happened to him. Exact words. If anything happens to me, you take this to Ethan. Don't let Clara touch it. He was very clear on that. Not Clara, you, only you. So, here. She put the key in my hand. The metal was still warm from her skin. My hand closed around it like it had its own mind. What's this for? I said. A box, she said. Safety deposit. I'm not stupid. I didn't open it. I didn't even try. I don't want any part of this. I don't like any part of this. I'm here because I am broke and alone, and he said, Ethan will handle it, I swear. And then he didn't make it to the weekend. What happened? I said. My throat felt tight. Something inside me that had been muted since Lydia died was waking up, and it did not feel good. They said it was an accident, Nora said, and made a face like she didn't buy that but also didn't really care, because whatever story she'd been told was clearly just a story. On paper, it's an accident. Off paper. She let that hang. That told me plenty. Clara, I said. She smiled without humor. Yeah, she said. Clara. We stared at each other. Where's Clara now? I said. Celebrating, Nora said. If that's what you call drinking champagne in a glass kitchen in a white bathrobe while pretending to cry for Instagram. That house is ridiculous, by the way. You could fit this whole place in her pantry. And that's just the dry goods, not even the cold storage. She has a wine fridge the size of a coffin. How long ago? I said. Sunday, she said. He was gone Sunday night. She had the posts up Monday morning about unbearable grief and please respect our privacy in this impossible moment, with pictures of her looking out at the ocean like she's thinking deep thoughts. I threw up twice. Something hot flared in my chest. Rage is a cheap word. People use it for being cut off in traffic. What I felt was not rage. What I felt was pressure. Internal. A hydraulic jack under my ribs, lifting. Why didn't she tell me? I asked, already knowing the answer. Because you're not good for her brand, Nora said. I laughed. It sounded like a cough. Brand. She said, and I'm quoting here, Ethan is a liability who believes drama is a personality, Nora said. Good, I said. If she didn't like me before, she's really not going to like me now. Nora watched me. She had Michael's eyes. That stung more than I wanted to admit. Same brown, same little crease at the corner. But hers had something else in them. Something harder, something honest. Why are you really here? I said. Not the story, not the script he gave you. Why did you come to my door today and not disappear with that key and try to open that box yourself and take whatever's inside and go to Florida or Vegas or wherever girls your age go to forget who their parents are? She held my stare. She didn't fidget. She didn't smile. Because I don't want Clara finding me alone, she said. That was honest. I could feel it. And because, she added, and this part she said quieter, like she didn't want to hear herself say it, if he wasn't lying and you really are what he said you are, then I figured maybe I'm not alone either. It twitched. What did he say I am? I asked, and I already knew I was going to hate it. She swallowed. He said you're a monster when somebody takes what belongs to you. We stood there in the doorlight and hallway bleach stink, grandfather and maybe granddaughter, strangers with the same last name hanging between us, like a bridge made of fishing line, and I realized something that should have scared me and didn't. Michael thought I was weak. Clara thought I was pathetic. The room at the wedding thought I was decoration. Nora did not. Nora looked at me like I was a loaded trap. And I liked that. We took a bus, not because I couldn't steal a car if I had to, but because I believe in blending. You want to move quiet in this world. You don't show up in a black SUV with tinted windows. You show up on public transit with a tired face and a windbreaker collar up. Nobody remembers the bus guy. They remember the guy with leather seats. The bank that held the box wasn't our neighborhood branch. That would have been too easy. Michael wasn't stupid. He was rotten, but not stupid. It was uptown, glass lobby, stone floors polished to a shine so clear you could check your teeth in it. The kind of place that smells like lemon oil and contract law. Nora walked half a step behind me like she'd done this before. I wondered who taught her that. I wondered what kind of life she had that made that normal. We went to the vault desk. The man there was maybe 30, thin, sharp suit, eyes that kept sliding to Nora like he couldn't help it. How can I help you? He said. I need access to box 3117, I said, and slid the key across the counter like I'd done this 1,000 times. His eyes flicked down. His fingers moved over his keyboard. "Name," he said without looking up. "Ethan Harrow," I said. His hand slowed, then resumed. "And the co-holder—" "No co-holder," I said. He looked up then. "There's a secondary on file." My stomach went tight. If he said Clara, I was going to flip that counter. "Name," I said, calm. He cleared his throat. "Lydia Harrow." For 1 second I couldn't breathe. Then I could again, sharp, like a gasp from drowning. Of course. Of course she was there first. Of course she handled it while I was still trying to be a good dad instead of a smart man. She always was ahead of me when it mattered. "She's deceased," I said quietly. That word still hit weird in my mouth like a pebble. "I'm sorry for your loss," he said automatically, and I nodded, like I accepted his Hallmark card, and he checked the screen and did whatever little security ritual they do, and then he stood. "If you'll come with me, Mr. Harrow." We followed him into the vault. Movies lie about vaults too. It's not all red lasers and titanium. It's rows and rows and rows of small beige metal doors with tiny keyholes, like a honeycomb for secrets. He unlocked 317 with a master key, then stepped back so I could use mine. I slid Lydia's key in. It turned with a little click that sounded louder than it should have. He left us alone for privacy. Translation: if you grab something illegal, it's your problem. I pulled the tray out, set it on the table. My hands shook. I don't shake. Not even when Lydia died. Not even when Clara cracked me at the wedding. I shook now. I hated that. I lifted the lid. Inside the box were 4 things. 1, a brown envelope with my name on it in Lydia's handwriting. Block letters, neat, steady. I knew that writing better than I know my own. I used to watch her make grocery lists in that same blocky hand. I almost lost it right there, looking at that. I had to sit down. 2, a cheap thumb drive. Red plastic. The kind they give away at trade shows. 3, a stack of printed papers, folded double, rubber-banded. 4, a note in Michael's handwriting. The top line said, "Dad, please read this first," like he thought he could still order me around. Of course I read Lydia's first. I opened the envelope with my thumbnail. I unfolded the paper. "Ethan, if you're reading this, it means 2 things happened that I was afraid would happen. 1, Michael did what I told you he was going to do. 2, you finally woke up. I love you. I loved our life. I loved our kitchen table and your stupid jokes, and how you always pretended you weren't scared, even when you were. I know you think this is your fault. It isn't. You wanted to believe in our son. That's not a sin. That's being a dad. Here's what I did. When Michael first came to me asking for temporary bridge money and short-term liquidity and all those buzzwords, I said yes. I did. I know you're mad. You can be mad at me. I said yes. I thought if I helped him this once, he'd stop. I thought he'd feel guilty and come back to us. I thought he'd be our boy again. Then I watched him laugh while he talked about us. He laughed, Ethan, in our kitchen, about us, about old people panic. And I felt cold. So I did something. I took the insurance payout from your shoulder injury, and I moved it somewhere he couldn't find. I had to put your name on it because if I died first, I didn't want that woman to get her hands on it. You know who I mean. I know you do. I also talked to someone who knows Clara. I wrote down what he told me. I printed it so you could hold it in your hand. You're going to be angry when you see it. Good. Be angry. Use it. Do not go to the police. They won't help. They'll smile at you and take notes and then go to lunch and forget your face. Do not let Michael talk his way out. He's not a little boy anymore. He made choices. I want you to do what you have to do to get back what is ours. I won't say forgive him. I'm done forgiving. I will say this. Make him feel it. I love you. Lydia. By the time I got to her name, my throat was burning. My eyes were wet and hot. I wiped them on my sleeve. Nora stood by the table pretending she was interested in the numbers stenciled on the vault drawers. She was giving me space. Smart kid. Okay, I said. My voice came out rough. Okay, I'm good. You're not good, Nora said without turning. You're shaking. I'm standing, I said. Standing is good enough. I unfolded Michael's note next. Dad, before you freak out, just listen. I didn't steal from you. I borrowed. I swear I was going to pay it all back. You don't understand how this level works. Money moves fast. Clara made it look like I did something shady, but I didn't. This is bigger than you think. I was in deep with people, and I had to make moves. Clara said she had us. She said she would shield us. She said nobody would get hurt. I didn't know Mom would... I didn't know it would go like that, okay? I didn't. I swear I didn't. If something happens to me, it's because Clara pushed it. She's not what you think she is. You think she's just mean. She's worse. She's dangerous. She plays clean in public and dirty in private. If I'm gone, you need to run, Dad. I'm serious. You need to run. Take what's in here and go. Do not try to fight her. You can't win. She's got people. I'm sorry. I know you're mad. I was going to fix it. I was. I swear. I laughed so hard my side hurt. Wow, Nora said dry, still studying the wall. He says run, I said. Yeah, Nora said. He's been saying that my whole life. Run, Nora. Hide, Nora. Lie, Nora. You know what I learned from that? Don't run. Just don't get caught. I like you, I said. Don't, she said. I don't do father figures. They die. That's fair, I said. I picked up the stack of papers Lydia left. They were old-school printed screenshots, text messages, emails, screenshots of group chats with little bubbles and names. Clara's name appeared a lot. So did Michael's. So did a couple other names I recognized from the wedding. The kind of men who wear watches the size of hockey pucks and talk loud about deals like anyone in the room actually cares. There were lines like, "We move his parents first, liquidate their chunk, he won't say no to Mum, get him to put it in his dad's name. Old people accounts don't get flagged the same. Do not tell Ethan anything. He's not stupid. He plays stupid to make you comfortable." That one stung, I won't lie. Then, "After we close on this, you move him off books. He's too sloppy. He talks when he drinks. He's a liability. Then, I'll handle him. You just make sure the paperwork shows elder consent." Elder consent, like I'm a corpse donating organs. My hands stopped shaking. They went very, very still. I picked up the thumb drive last. Nora leaned in for that one. "What's that?" she said. "Insurance," I said. "Against Clara," she said. "Against everybody," I said. "We didn't open it at the bank. I'm not that dumb. You never open your surprise in someone else's house." We put everything back in the box except the papers and the drive. The papers went in my coat. The drive went in my sock. You don't get frisked at a bus stop for socks. Back on the bus, Nora was quiet. She watched the window like she expected Clara to come sprinting alongside the bus in heels and throw herself at the glass. I appreciated the paranoia. It meant I didn't have to waste energy convincing her the world is sharp. "You believe I'm his kid now," she said after a while. "I didn't say I didn't," I said. "You looked at me like you thought I was running a game," she said. "I always think everybody is running a game," I said. "Keeps me alive." "Was that guy at the wedding part of your game?" she said. I smiled without meaning to. "Yes," I said. "Who is he?" she said. "He's the reason Clara's hands are probably still shaking right now," I said. "She's not shaking," Nora said. "She's posting." "She's shaking inside," I said. "She just hasn't told her face yet." Nora snorted. "Okay, old man," she said. "I told you don't call me old man," I said. "Yeah, and my father told me don't swear, and I said sure, Dad, and then I swore anyway," she said. We rode in silence a while longer. City rolled by. People lived their lives. Nobody cared that an old man and a maybe granddaughter were on a bus holding dynamite in a coat pocket. That's the thing about the world. Your tragedy is just Tuesday to everybody else. When we got back to my building, I did something I hadn't done since Lydia died. I locked the door behind us, not just the top lock. Then I shoved a chair under the knob. Nora watched. "You expecting company?" she said. "Yeah," I said. "Eventually." "From who?" she said. "Everybody," I said. Then I sat her at the kitchen table, turned on my old laptop, plugged that thumb drive in, and watched my whole life line up for revenge. Let me tell you something that should scare you. I am not special. Nothing I'm about to say is movie stuff. It's not spy gear. It's not hacker nonsense. It's not Mission Impossible. It's boring. It's patient. It's work. Which means anybody with patience and anger could do it. The thumb drive had folders. Lydia labeled them. Bless her. Clara, public Clara, private Michael, legal media. "Your wife was organized," Nora said. "My wife ran our life like a ship," I said. "If she hadn't, we'd have sunk in 98. "What's 98? Nora said. "The year Michael discovered credit cards," I said. "We opened Clara, public first." Inside were PDFs, screenshots, social media posts, a whole timeline of Clara's public face. Women's empowerment, brunch panels. We rise together, charity galas. Local business leader spotlights. Polished professional headshots with buzzwords and neat quotes under them. Integrity. Family values. Transparency. I laughed so hard I almost tipped my chair. "Wait," Nora said, leaning in. I was at that one. She made me wear white. She said I couldn't eat until after the photos because she didn't trust me not to spill." "Charming," I said. "I was 11, she said. I was shaking. They had shrimp cocktail everywhere and I thought I was going to faint. She said that was good because fainting in photos makes people care more." I felt my jaw go tight. "She had you at these things as what? A prop?" "She called me her bonus daughter," Nora said, rolling her eyes so hard I thought they might get stuck. "You know, influencer talk." I clicked Clara. Private. This is where Lydia did work. Emails, text threads, notes from conversations Lydia either recorded and transcribed or wrote down after. Names, dates, amounts. There it was, in black and white. Clara telling Michael to extract funds. Clara mocking me. Clara mocking Lydia. Clara talking about me like I'm a busted faucet you just replace when it leaks. Then there was a string of messages between Clara and a number labeled Frank, security. Frank, he's going to be a problem if you don't handle it. Clara, you think I don't know that he won't shut up? He keeps saying he'll go to the cops, like the cops care about some sweaty old man with a busted shoulder. Frank, accidents happen. Clara, you handle him. I'm not getting my hands dirty right before the wedding pics. Do it clean. Something no one asks about. Frank, got it. That's him, Nora said quietly behind me. Frank, he used to sit in the kitchen when I was a kid. He thought I couldn't hear. He always smelled like cheap aftershave and beef jerky. He told me once if I ever told anyone what I heard, he'd put me in a bag and drop me in the river. He said it like he was kidding. He wasn't kidding. Where is Frank now? I said. Clara fired him last month, Nora said. Said he was sloppy. Said he made her look low class. She replaced him with a guy who wears suits and says ma'am a lot. The new guy smiles, but he's worse. The kind that knows lawyers. Good, I said. Good, Nora said, confused. Good because sloppy is loud, I said. Loud is useful. She blinked. Okay, Grandpa Batman, she said. I told you not to call me. I started, then stopped, because something on the screen caught my eye. An attachment. It was a video file. What's that? Nora said. Let's see, I said. I clicked it. The screen went black for half a second, then popped to life. A phone camera. Vertical. Shaky. Lydia's voice, low and calm, the way she talked when she wanted someone to hang themselves with their own rope. Just tell me again so I have it all straight, she said. Clara's voice answered. You could tell she thought this was off record. You could hear the angle in her tone, that lazy confidence rich people get when they think they're safe. It's simple, Lydia, Clara said. We move the money into Ethan's name. That way, if anything happens to him, which, let's be honest, is only a matter of time, you're taken care of. We can say it's estate consolidation or something. Old men do that all the time. Nobody questions it. Trust me, I've done this before. You're protected. I would never let Michael do anything to hurt you. Lydia's voice. You promise me you won't take a dime without telling me. Clara's voice. Of course. Family first. Then Lydia said something so soft I almost missed it. And if you lie to me, Clara, I'll end you. Silence. You could feel it on that video, even through cheap phone mic quality. Then Clara laughed a little too high. You're so cute, she said. The video ended. Nora let out a low whistle. Your wife was hardcore, she said. You have no idea, I said. My chest hurt. I missed Lydia so much in that moment I thought I would black out. I clicked the legal folder. Inside were PDFs of contracts. Some were legit, some were obviously fake. Signatures that weren't mine. Dates that didn't match. Elder asset transfer consent, with my name and signature, notarized. That is not my signature, I said. It's close, though, Nora said. Like, if I didn't know your handwriting, I would have bought it. That's the point, I said. Can you get her arrested with that? Nora said. I shook my head. Maybe, eventually, with money and time and patience and luck. I don't have any of those. So what do you have? Nora said. I leaned back in the chair. I rubbed my jaw. I thought about the slap. I thought about Michael's voice saying run, like that was my only play left. I thought about Lydia writing, be angry, use it. What I have, Lydia, is pressure. What I have is that hydraulic jack in my chest and years of being underestimated. And you know what pressure does to metal. It warps it. It bends it. It snaps bolts and pops welds and makes pretty machines tear themselves apart from the inside. I'm going to take her life apart one piece at a time, I said. How? Nora said. Publicly, I said. Loud. In front of the same people she performed for. I'm going to peel her open at the seams. I'm going to make her brand bleed. When I'm done, she won't be able to walk into a Whole Foods without people whispering. She won't be able to breathe without tasting what she did to us. And I'm going to do it in a way where she can't touch me after. She will try. She won't be able to. And once she's stripped and shaking and alone, I'm going to walk right up to what's left of my son, if he's still breathing anywhere in that mess. And I'm going to look him in the face and I'm going to say, now you know. Nora stared at me like I had just grown a second head. That's cold, she said finally. Good, I said. You sure you weren't in the mob in like the 80s or something, she said. No, I said. I was in municipal engineering. It's worse. She snorted. Okay, Grandpa murder but not murder, she said. Stop calling me Grandpa, I said. You keep making threats like a Batman villain and I'll stop, she said. It's not a threat, I said. It's an outline. First real strike had to be public, had to be big, had to be in her world. You don't pull a shark out of the ocean with a fishing rod. You bleed the water. Clara had a pre-wedding family dinner scheduled 2 nights after the slap incident. It wasn't actually family, of course. It was investors dressed like family. But she called it family because that plays better on social. I wasn't invited. Obviously, I showed up anyway. The restaurant was one of those low-light places where the menus don't have prices, just adjectives. Everything is reclaimed wood and Edison bulbs and waiters with sleeve tattoos and leather aprons like butchers, even though they are just carrying duck-fat potatoes from point A to point B. I wore the same off-the-rack suit from the wedding. I didn't shave. I wanted to look like trouble when I walked in. People pay attention to trouble. Nora came with me. She wore an old black dress she pulled from her backpack. She had it rolled so tight it barely wrinkled. Smart kid, no jewelry, hair back, neutral face. She looked like every server in the place, which was perfect. Stay on my left, I told her. If anybody asks, you're my granddaughter. Rich people get scared when you ask who they are. They like being known. Copy, she said. You sure you want me here? I bite. Sometimes I bite before I think. I like that about you, I said. You don't even know me, she said. I know enough, I said. We walked in like we belonged. That's the trick. You act like you're supposed to be there. 9 times out of 10, somebody holds the door for you. The host smiled at us with his teeth and not his eyes. Reservation, he said. Already seated, I said, and kept walking. By the time he figured out what to do about that, we were past him and into the back room. Back rooms in restaurants like that always look the same. Long table, low light. Expensive liquor, lined up on a sideboard like trophies. Laughter that's a little too loud. The air full of money. Clara sat at the head. Of course she did. Michael would have sat at the head if he were alive. If he's alive. If. That word hung over everything like a ceiling fan about to drop. Her hair was perfect. Her smile was in place. Her hand was on the forearm of a man I didn't recognize. He had that buzzed close haircut and square jaw you see on executive security types. Suit tailored to hide body armor. Earpiece wire curling down his neck like a snake. Her eyes flicked up. She saw me. For a half-second the mask slipped. Then she smiled wider. Ethan, she said, voice sugar and poison. What a surprise. We weren't expecting you tonight. Hi, honey, I said. I said it loud. Everyone turned. There were maybe 16 people at that table. I recognized at least 4 from the wedding. 2 men who gave speeches about family and legacy, now pretending they didn't see Clara slap me 2 nights ago. 1 woman who'd been crying by the bar when the grey suit guy walked in, whispering, "Oh God, not him," under her breath. They all adjusted their expressions like flipping channels. Smile, concern, polite interest. Is this a bad time? I said, loud enough for all of them. Clara laughed with her hand on her chest. Of course not, she said. Family is always welcome. Please, sit. Can we get another 2 chairs, please? The security guy had his hand under the table. On what? I didn't know. I also didn't care. I'm not scared of guns. Guns are loud and obvious. Reputations whispered in the right ear. Those are better. I'm not staying, I said. Wouldn't want to impose. I just came to drop something off. A gift. Clara tilted her head. That's so thoughtful, she said. You didn't have to do that. Oh, but I did, I said, and I pulled a thick envelope from my jacket. Lydia's printed screenshots. Not the worst stuff. Not yet. Just enough. I dropped it in front of Clara like a dealer sliding cards. She didn't touch it. That told everyone watching more than if she had slapped it off the table. What is that? She said, still smiling. That's a list of everything you've said about every person in this room for the last 6 months, I said. The room changed temperature. I don't understand, she said. You will, I said. Page 3 is my favorite. That's the part where you tell Michael that this dinner is for optics only, because, and I quote, these leeches only show up for free wagyu and the chance to get their faces in a story. Page 5 is good too. That's where you say Mr. Kingston over there smells like old cologne and desperation, and you'd rather eat glass than let his sad money touch your brand again, but we smile because PR is cheaper than rehab. Mr. Kingston, a red-faced man with a golf tan and a watch that probably cost what I owed on Lydia's funeral, choked on his drink. Clara's smile froze like fresh ice on a puddle. I don't appreciate whatever game this is, Ethan, she said quietly. Oh, this isn't the game, I said. This is the warm-up. The game starts when every one of these people opens their phone in about 30 seconds and sees what I sent them while I was walking in here. See, I learned something from you. Branding matters. You taught me that when you slapped me in front of 100 witnesses and then told them it was for my own safety. So now I'm doing some branding. I'm branding you, right between the eyes, with your own words. Hope you like the font. All around the table, pockets buzzed. One by one, people checked their screens. Gasps, whispers. Mr. Kingston's face went from red to purple. The woman with the spray tan 2 shades too dark for her neck let out a little squeak that sounded like a mouse getting stepped on. The man with the perfect haircut at Clara's right hand leaned in and murmured, "Mom, do you want me to—" And she flicked her fingers fast. "Shut up." "You hacked me," Clara said. I laughed. "Do I look like a hacker?" I said. "I can barely log into Netflix without writing the password down on an envelope and taping it to the TV. No, nobody hacked anything. You just talk too much in front of people who don't like you as much as you think they do. People who liked Lydia a lot more. People who thought maybe you went a step too far recently. Those people shared. I just printed. I'm old school. I like paper." "This is defamation," she hissed. "You can't defame someone by quoting them," I said. "You're stealing private communication," she said. "That video of you in our kitchen talking about how you're going to handle me after you drain us is in the next envelope," I said. "You think anybody in this room wants to be in that splash zone? Keep talking." Her eyes flashed. She leaned forward, smile gone now, the face under the face, the shark. "What do you want?" she said. The room went silent. Her jaw twitched. "Excuse me," she said. "You heard me," I said. "I want you to look me in the eye and tell me what you did to my son." Her eyes cut to the security guy. He didn't move. Smart. He knew better than to step into family business in public. "I had nothing to do with what happened to Michael," she said slowly. "Louder," I said. "I had nothing to do with what happened to Michael," she said louder. "Say his name," I said. "I had nothing to do with what happened to my husband, Michael Harrow," she said, voice tight like piano wire. "Good. Now it's on record. Now it's in front of her donors, her image people, her muscle. Every lie she tells after that has a leak in it." "Second," I said, "you're going to wire back every cent you took from Lydia's accounts." "That's ridiculous," she said, laughing again, like this was a sitcom. "You can't just—" 24 hours, I said. "All of it. Plus interest. I know the amounts. I have the transfers. Your elder consent paperwork is adorable, by the way, but you forged my signature, and you know I can prove it in a way that's going to make you look like you prey on the elderly. And guess what? Look at that table. You got a lot of elderly investors here. You think they want to get on a boat with a woman who drains old people. You think that plays well in Naples Golf Club. I don't." The old men around the table shifted like someone had turned their chair heaters on high. Her eyes narrowed. "You think you're clever," she said. "I think I'm patient," I said. "And I'm angry. And you hurt the only good thing I ever built. You don't get to walk away clean from that. Not in this town. Not while I'm breathing. 24 hours. Full repayment. You do that, I keep the next envelope in my pocket, and I don't send it to every local reporter, investor, family friend, and PTA mum you ever took a picture with." "You're blackmailing me," she said. "No," I said. "I'm educating you. This is a class called Consequences 101. The lab portion starts tomorrow." "You don't have any leverage against me," she said. Someone's phone dinged. Loud. The kind of loud ding you get when a video message drops. Half the table flinched. I smiled. "Oh, honey," I said. "Sweetheart, light of Michael's shallow little life, I have enough leverage to lift your house off its stilts and drop it in the bay. Ask them." Heads turned, eyes, whispers. The room had shifted. She could feel it. Clara lives on performance. She could feel when an audience turns. Her smile came back, but it was glass now, cracked. "You're making a scene in front of my family," she said. "At my son's wedding reception, you slapped a scene onto my face in front of your family and demanded the keys to my apartment like I was a spare room in your portfolio," I said. "I'm just returning the plate." "Get out," she whispered. "In a second," I said. "Last thing." "I'm done listening to you," she said. "Too bad," I said. "This one matters." She leaned back, exhaling hard through her nose like a bull. "You're going to leave Nora alone," I said, calm. "Completely. No calls, no messages, no late-night knocks, no guys in suits, no envelopes taped under doors. You do any of that, and I send the rest. All of it. To everybody, at once. with timestamps and commentary and a little voiceover from me about how you operate. You will drown. You understand me, Clara? You won't get to host a church bake sale in this town without somebody whispering, "That's her. That's the one who—" In the parking lot. Her eyes flicked to Nora like lasers. "Oh," she said softly, "I see how it is. You brought the stray home. How sweet. Lydia would be so proud, taking in little charity cases in her memory. How poetic." Nora stiffened beside me. "Say her name again," I said quietly. "What?" Clara said. "Lydia," I said. "Say it again. Say her name like you said it in my kitchen. Say it with that same tone. I want to remember how it sounded." For a second, something ugly flashed across her face, so pure it almost hummed. Then she smiled again. "Get out," she said, each word its own little knife. 24 hours, I said. Tick-tock. I turned and walked out. Nora followed so close our shoulders bumped. We walked past the host, who looked like he wanted to stop us, and also like his student loans depended on Clara's tip tonight and he couldn't risk it. We hit the sidewalk. Nora exhaled like she'd been holding her breath underwater. "Holy," she said. "Grandpa." "Don't call me Grandpa," I said, but I couldn't help it. I was smiling. "You just walked in there with a Kinko's envelope and burned her world down," she said. "Not yet," I said. "I lit the fuse. The burn's tomorrow." "She's going to come for you," Nora said. "Good," I said. "Let her." "You think you're bulletproof?" Nora said. "No," I said. "That's better. It can just kick dirt." We crossed the street. A car rolled by slow. My eyes tracked it without moving my head. Nora noticed that. "You really think she'll pay?" she said. "She'll pay something," I said. "She'll stall. She'll scheme. She'll call her lawyer. She'll try to flip this like I'm shaking her down so she can play victim in public. She'll post a picture of herself crying with no makeup in a hoodie and say her toxic father-in-law is emotionally abusing her in her time of unimaginable grief. People will eat it because people love to be spoon-fed. That's fine. The money part is almost extra now." "Then what's the point?" Nora said. "The point is to make her bleed in the water so the other sharks smell it," I said. "You get a woman like Clara alone, you don't have to touch her. Her own people do the work. Her own brand devours her. All I have to do is start the turn." Nora was quiet for a stretch. We walked. The night air tasted like low tide, an expensive cologne leaking out of that restaurant behind us. "You meant it when you told her to leave me alone," she said. "Yes," I said. "Why?" she said. "You don't even know if I'm really your granddaughter." I stopped. I turned. "He's my son," I said. "I don't like saying that right now, but it's still true. Which makes you mine by math, or at least overlap. And even if you were lying, and you were just some kid who fell into this mess because you didn't have anybody else, that still makes you mine. Because Clara thinks she can do whatever she wants to you, and that pisses me off." She blinked fast. She looked away. "Don't get sentimental on me, old man," she said. "I'm not," I said. "I'm territorial." She laughed. It came out wet. She covered it with a cough. "What's next?" she said. I smiled. "Next," I said, "we burn her house down." Her eyes went wide. "I thought you said no murder," she said. "You're kidding," she said. I didn't answer, because I wasn't, and because that's where I'm stopping this part. I will continue from here with the mansion confrontation, the accidental fire, the chase at the marina, the police pressure, Nora's twist, and the last revenge beat that ends with me. Not in prison, standing over what's left of Clara's life with no epilogue, and with the final line I promised you. We'll keep the same voice, keep it legal and real, keep it hard, keep it smart, keep the timeline straight, and land it on a high-peak action moment with